Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for your patience for waiting for a couple of minutes before we started this first webinar as you are joining into the conversation. So hopefully there will be more people coming in and joining us for this first webinar. And we are ready to start. I promise you we'll try to make this first webinar and the rest also of the other ones that are coming in the next few weeks as short as possible and as useful as possible. And I am very excited to create and to have this first webinar all together with this amazing community of travel professionals. And thank you for being interested in winedering.com, in our company, and into our B2B program and the webinars that we decided to share with you. My name is Stefano. I am one of the co-founders of winedering.com. And in this webinar, the idea of our project is to present to you a little bit more about our activity, our B2B project, and obviously a great focus will be on Chianti Classico, one of the most stunning wine destinations in Italy and probably all over the world. We will discuss about some useful uh, itineraries and experiences that you could perfectly offer to your customers to make sure that they will live the experience of a lifetime. And of course, at the end of the presentation, we'll try to find some times for some Q&A. And I remind you that you can either raise your hand at the end of the presentation or send us a question, a message on the chat here available the whole time. So it will be my pleasure to gather all the questions at the end and try to reply to you at best. But let's start from a little presentation about who we are and who is joining me during this call. Of course, I am the speaker today of this presentation, but I'm not the only one in the team being part of this call. Together with me, there is Dennis, co-founder and CTO of Winedering.com. There is Lara, our sales B2B manager, responsible for the distribution markets all over the world. And there is also Victoria, who is joining us for the call today. For those who don't know who we are, I would like to start this presentation by introducing you a little bit about Winedering.com. Winedering.com was created, is a startup actually, even if the very first beginning of our activities started in 2016, as we come from the travel business and we were looking for finding a way to help customers like me traveling the whole world, finding, the best and most authentic wine experiences. I was in Napa and I was guiding a group of customers and they were asking me to find a winery for them. And I had the problem. How could I find the best and most authentic wine experiences in Napa Valley with 90 miles of 500 wineries? So that's why in 2016 we created winedring.com that since then grew a lot. And today we are the first wine travel marketplace specialized in wine experiences all over the world. We have more than 3,000 and counting wine experiences in Italy, of course, in Portugal, Spain, Germany, France, and more regions coming in every single week. So we are literally becoming the leader for wine travel experiences. And in 2023, we had the opportunity to get reservations for more than 35,000 customers that were actually looking for the real authentic wine experiences far from the crowd or far off the beaten path. But what happened in 2023 was that we started to receive hundreds of reservations and requests from you, from travel professionals, from tour operators, from travel designers that were making reservations on the platform for their customers, asking us to help them find the best experience. So at the end of the summer of 2023, we tried to ask you and to your colleagues how we could help you to create an efficient way of collaboration. And that's why in January 2024 we launched the first B2B marketplace vertically focused on wine experiences. We have been talking so far with thousands of B2B customers. We attended main travel trade shows all over the world, and we have more than 200 subscribed affiliates that are already buying on winedering.com. But why are we doing this, and what winedering.com is all about in terms of the B2B system? First of all, we offer you an unmatched catalog. As I mentioned you, 3,000 wineries ongoing and counting on a daily basis. We have many wineries that register on the platform. We try to catch up the best experiences to be offered on our marketplace. Of course, not only we want to give you the best offer and the best portfolio of wine experiences of wineries that, by the way, most of the time don't have even a website, but they just are able to offer us experience on winedering.com. With our B2B platform, we save you a lot of time in terms of researches. The problem that I had is a kind of problem that everybody has when trying to find wineries for customers. We will talk in a minute about Chianti Classico. Chianti Classico has more than 130 wineries, and most of them do hospitality. How can you find the right one for your customers? So this is a way to save your time and obviously give you commissions, getting rewarded from that point of view and giving an economic value to the reservations that you will make through the system. And of course, the most important thing is to make sure that you will make your customers happy, either by buying experiences on their behalf or sharing links as the classic affiliation system that you surely know. So this is what we created. And when we launched the platform, we started to ask you, again, with some interviews, and some of you already replied, how can we help? How can we be useful to you? And so the most important reply from your side was, we would love to have some webinars regarding wine destinations. And so the goal of this webinar and the next webinars that we are planning is exactly the one of inspiring you, informing you, and most important, being useful to you for your customer happiness. So today we are starting with the Chianti Classico, which is the very first webinar. Of course, it will be recorded. You will receive the presentation, so you will have all the information. We also created and launched a blog today dedicated to these contents. So you will have plenty of details, information to discover more about this destination. And then in June, we are also going on with Montalcino, so we are staying in Tuscany. And by the end of the month in June, we decided to talk about Le Langhe region. Of course, you will receive the right information in the next few days, in the next few weeks about that. And by the way, the Langhe region, we are going to talk about that in June because it's the perfect timing to plan the high season of Le Langhe region, which is in September, October, and November. So let's start and let's talk about the main topic of the day, which is Chianti Classico. If I ask you to think about, or if you ask your customers to think about Italy and to think about how would they imagine Italy, they would definitely reply you with a beautiful landscape with amazing hills, rolling hills, abbeys, castles, vineyards, olive groves. And if you ask ChatGPT to make a picture of Italy, probably you would find as a main solution the typical Tuscan landscape. And that typical landscape is Chianti Classico, which is in the real heart of the Tuscany region. Let's try to see a little bit more about the logistics of Chianti Classico. We are not going to talk on this presentation of the tannins, the detail of the wine. Our focus is to give you the right information to understand how to best sell the Chianti Classico wine destination in this case. And Chianti Classico is a little stretch of land, 50 miles from Florence to Siena. Everybody knows Florence. You definitely know Florence, of course. And Florence has one of the most important international airport in central Italy. And so that's why, for example, we wanted to put you the information about the flight connection that help you reach easily the Chianti Classico area, which again is a small wine destination within the whole Tuscany region. How can you reach Chianti Classico? As I mentioned, you can reach the region through the Florence International Airport, or you can use the Bologna International Airport. Why Bologna? Because Bologna has a very beautiful airport at the end of the day, but most important, with the monorail in 5 minutes, your customer will arrive to the train station in Bologna, and from there is a high-speed train that in 45 minutes will bring them straight to the city center of Florence, so in the heart and the gateway of the Chianti Classico. Of course, you can arrive from the southern part of the country, from Rome, for example, where it is a little bit far, 175 miles, a little bit more than 200 kilometers. And the idea in that sense is that, of course, you can reach this destination either on a journey that you're doing from north to south, or uh, if you are staying, for example, in central Italy for different days or for multi-day tours. As I mentioned you, the distances within the Chianti Classico are quite short because we are talking about 50 miles from north to south of beautiful white roads and unpaved streets. And so you can also reach this destination by car, by private car if you're coming from Rome or Milan, or if you're renting a car, of course, it's very well connected to the area of Chianti Classico. And then last but not least, public transportation are very useful and very comfortable to reach the main cities of the Chianti Classico, like Florence and Siena. For example, the high-speed train from Milan and Bologna is very fast, and at the same time, it will be only less than 2 hours to reach Florence from Rome. However, trains are useful to arrive to the Chianti Classico region, but they're definitely not useful to and not comfortable to move within the region. As I mentioned you, unpaved roads, beautiful but like white streets. So the best way when you are staying into the Chianti Classico area, either in Siena, Florence, or in villas around the beautiful vineyards and hills of the region, is to either rent a car or get a private driver, of course, even if it's a little bit more expensive. Enjoy a private or a semi-private bus group tour, renting a bike or an e-bike, or of course use alternative ways like the beautiful sidecar or Vespas or vintage cars that are rentable in the Chianti Classico region. But don't use public transportation to go from one winery to another within the region, because it will be definitely crazy for your customers and they will not enjoy uh, those kind of experiences. Before moving to the real experiences that we wanted to suggest you, I also wanted to give you some boundaries about how to get some tips on the region and on the Chianti Classico. First of all, as many important wine destinations and as many important Italian destinations, July and August are quite crowded because the Chianti Classico is not only famous all over the world, but it's also famous in Italy. So definitely, July and August are the most crowded time of the year in which you're staying in Chianti Classico. So if I had to recommend a specific time, I would definitely suggest you May and June, or September and October with the harvest time. However, whenever your customer want to go to Chianti Classico, make sure, and this is one of the few destinations in which you really want to do that, but make sure that you book in advance, because these wineries are crowded. And this means that you want to make sure that you get a spot for your customers, either on a private tour or on a group tour, but you want to book them for them on the proper amount of time ahead. And with the Winedering B2B system, this is going to be very easy, by the way, because cancellation policies, which depend on the wineries, are very flexible. So there is no problem of making a reservation now and then decided to cancel it if the customer is not traveling anymore, with a little advice. One suggestion for you and for your customers. We are talking about Chianti Classico. We are not talking about Chianti. Chianti and Chianti Classico are two different things. Chianti Classico and Chianti, they are celebrated Tuscan wines, but the Chianti area is much larger. It covers 7 sub-regions or sub-areas, while Chianti Classico, as I mentioned you before, and as you can see on the map here, is a much smaller area. You cannot produce Chianti if you are in Chianti Classico. Kind of weird, right? And when it comes to Chianti Classico, we have to talk about Sangiovese. So, as I promised you, we're not going technically into the world of wine, but just to give you an overview of what your customers are going to drink and going to taste during these experiences. Sangiovese is the most important grape in Italy, probably, and in Chianti Classico, and you can produce Chianti Classico only if you make at least 80% out of Sangiovese. And of course, you have three different varieties and labeling style of Chianti Classico, because you can have the vintage, the Riserva, and the Gran Selezione. And the difference are basically characterized by the time of aging of these wines. But question, if there is a difference between Chianti and Chianti Classico, how can you make sure that your customer get a taste and get the opportunity to taste and drink a real Chianti Classico wine? They have to find a wine that has a specific label, which is the Black Rooster. This is also the symbol of the consortium, the association of Chianti Classico, and there's a beautiful legend behind it. But most interesting is that if they give you if they tell you that they give you a Chianti Classico wine, you want to make sure that they can show you the label of the Black Rooster. That's the symbol of the Chianti Classico wines. Sangiovese red wines means robust wine, and in each of our wine tasting experiences that I'm going to show you in a minute, obviously, we are in Italy. Wine pairs with food. And what kind of food are your customer going to taste on our wine experiences and during their Chianti Classico activities? It's almost dinner time here in Italy, so just seeing these pictures make me hungry, but I'll try to go fast. On average, cured meats are something that is always included into into the tastings, and as of my favorite products, even if they are very simple, and probably it's just because they're very simple to make, the crostini toppings, so this bread together with some tomato on top, they are just perfect to taste wine, especially in summertime. Of course, there are vegetarian options with zuppa and ribollita, or if you're a great meat lover, the famous canina steak is just a must. And in some wineries, they will have it for your tastings, together with, for example, the warm dish of the pici, which is a typical pasta with wild boar ragu. Of course, when you make reservations and when you make requests on the platform, you will be able to put all the kind of notes that your customers will want to make sure to have, like for example vegetarian or vegan, and the winery will be absolutely able to reply to you on how they can assist your customers from that sense. Now, let's go to the main, most important topic of this presentation, which is the top 5 experiences that we selected for you for the next trip and the next vacation of your customers in Chianti Classico. First of all, we are starting from the north and we go south towards Siena. We'll start with Savignola Paolina in Greve in Chianti, which is 1 hour south of Florence. This is a very cozy, familiar, stylish experience with an all-female company where Alice, who is the hospitality manager, is absolutely as friendly as you can imagine. And the experience itself, it's the perfect combination of a cozy and familiar approach with a beautiful landscape in front of you, not far from the main cities of Florence. It starts around noon and it lasts for a couple of hours, in which you are not going to have a long tour of the winery before and then joining lunch. No, you will arrive at noon, your customer will arrive at that time, they will be given a glass of wine, and they will start having the light lunch. And then they will be able to see the beautiful details of the cellar and the winery. Of course, together with this presentation and in the blog, of course, you will also be able to click on the experiences to go and check them out on our website. We stay in Greve as an alternative to the Savignola Paulina winery. You have another exclusive, a little bit more professional, stylish lunch with 5 wines, and we are talking about Panzanello. It's always a family business, but they are, I would say, more structured to wine tourism. They're more organized from that sense. They are open all year round except from December, and most importantly, they accept up to a maximum of 10 to 12 people. This means that if you're looking for a private experience for your customers, that's absolutely a worth solution. Then, of course, we're talking about Chianti Classico. We can avoid talking about castles. And one of the most historic locations that we have is Castello di Radda, with centuries of history. And in this kind of location, I would recommend to have the easiest, if you can accept this kind of term, uh, wine tasting, which is the perfect introduction of the world of Chianti Classico. Your customers will taste 3 exquisite wines going from the different levels of Chianti Classico. It's a very cheap experience, 1 hour and a half maximum, and it's perfect, especially on a combination of like morning activity into the Castello di Radda and then the light lunch in one of the wineries that I mentioned you before. One of the newest winery that registered a few months ago on Winedering and has outstanding results and rankings is Casanova di Ama. And what reviews and our customers say about that is the vibe that you can feel during that experience in a very typical Tuscan style winery, but with a very dynamic tasting and very special kind of pairing, of course, with dishes like crostini and appetizer together with the wines paired. All of these wineries that I've been mentioning to you so far, they have, and also the last one that I will present you in a moment, um, are not paying us to be promoted to you. It's just the result of what customers have been looking for on our platform and what they've preferred over the last few years. This means that the idea is that the perfect solution for you is also what probably our customers looking for, the best and most authentic wine experiences we're looking for. So Casanova di Ama, Panzanello, Savignola Paolina, Castello di Radda, and Castello di Selvole, which is, for example, in the southern part of the Chianti Classico area, 15 miles from Siena, are definitely the best solution for your customers. Again, Castello di Selvole, as the Castello di Radda that I mentioned you a few minutes ago, offer the classic wine tasting experience with a beautiful understanding and most important with a beautiful location surrounded by vineyards. Now, before moving to the uh, itineraries that we would recommend for you to enjoy the perfect experience of Chianti Classico, I also wanted to add you an extra tip because sometimes you may have customers that simply don't want to leave the cities. They're not wine experts. They know that they are in the Chianti Classico region, but they're just staying in Florence and in Siena. So what we thought and what we have been building over the last few years were relationship and solution with new suppliers in town. For example, in Florence, your customers can you can make reservations for your customers on winedering.com for a beautiful private wine tasting into the art of the city, into a Renaissance palace with a wine expert. Or if you want to see the Ponte Vecchio bridge in the city center of Florence, you can enjoy a beautiful, simple 1 hour wine tasting of introduction of Chianti Classico. And if you're staying in the city of Siena, we had an amazing wine bar that decided to build up an experience, including, of course, wine and food pairing in a very dynamic and vibrant atmosphere in the city center of the town. But now, let's move to the top 3 itineraries that we thought for you that could best represent the real Chianti Classico experience. There is one way in which you can accept moving into Chianti Classico within public transportation, which is visiting La Lastra winery into the city, very close to the city of Siena. So what we built for this kind of experience is a tour that we recommend for your customer that can either start from Siena, would be very easy in that sense, or from Florence. And if it's starting from Florence, you will have a 9:15 train meeting at the train station to get the train from Florence to Siena. It's not an high-speed train, it's a regional train, but it's a panoramic one. So you will arrive by 11 o'clock in Siena. And from the train station, your customer can either walk 45 minutes or get a cab, and in 5 minutes they will reach this beautiful La Lastra winery, which, by the way, is something special for me to share, because it was the first winery that we met when we started to launch Winedering.com. And it's a very familiar atmosphere in this case too, and especially you will have a 3 hours tasting into that beautiful table that I showed you on the previous picture, and then I can share you again here. And you will have amazing wines also in this very stylish atmosphere. And then of course you can get the train back to Siena and arrive back in Florence by 5:30 p.m. If you're planning a more complex escape to the Chianti Classico from either Florence or Siena, you can choose from a full day or an half day tour. For a full day wine escape, we try to include you as an idea two solutions, always with the goal of balancing the kind of experiences that your customers want to do. And so, for example, in this case, departing from Florence at 9 a.m., either with your car, with your customer's car, or with a private driver, you will be able to reach the southern part of the Chianti Classico, as I mentioned to you before, Castello di Selvole. So it will be a couple of hours drive into the beautiful white roads of the Chianti Classico. And once you will arrive in the Castello di Selvole, you will have the perfect introduction to the world of Chianti Classico. And then transfer back to go up towards the direction of Florence and stop by in the beautiful Savignola Paulina winery for a relaxing couple of hours light lunch and visit of the vineyards. And you will be back in Florence by 5:30 p.m. If you're staying in Siena, on the other side, and if your customers are staying in Siena, in the city center, or in a villa, in an apartment around the hill, on the hills, you can also choose the half-day tour. The half-day tour departs at 11 o'clock in the morning. As a suggestion, you would go to Panzanello for a light lunch, and then in the afternoon, the vibrant Casanova di Ama experience before getting back to Siena. As you can see, these are combo tours that you can perfectly mix. You can look at them on winedering.com, and you can build them up according to the needs that your customers have. Last but not least, from that sense, we can also suggest you the best solutions to make also the transfers available with private cars and private drivers. In the blog, you will see some links and some suggestions to for you to be helped from that sense. We are getting very close, as promised, to the end of this presentation, trying to stay within the 45 minutes that I was mentioning to you, and to also give you some time if you have any Q&A. How can you make this reservation possible through winedering.com? How can you find these experiences? Of course, if you're not subscribed, as our suggestion would be to register as a user on our website on winedering.com, become an affiliate, and start searching for the best experiences for your customers. Book and get commission. But let's see briefly, as an example, when you are an affiliate, what you can do on our platform. Because, for example, in this case of Chianti Classico, you can search on winedering.com not only for a specific winery or for a specific city, but for the wine destination. And for example, in this case, as you can see here in the wine experience of Chianti Classico, you will be able to search for destinations. So you can filter by the city or the province or the small towns. And so according to where your customers are, you can suggest them the best solutions and the closest one for them. Of course, you can also use the map to check out, according to, again, the locations of your customers, how you can suggest them the best experiences. Or you can also filter by availability, the number of participants that you want to have, the length of the experience, the price of the experience, and of course the language. Last but not least, into this brief introduction, you can also search for the kind of experience that you want to make them live. So you can have the single wine tasting, you can have the wine tours, you can also have some small packages of little short stay of a couple of nights, or you can have other experiences. For example, as I was mentioning to you, there are also day tours that depart with a vintage car or with the sidecar from Siena and Florence. When you search for the Chianti Classico wine destination or for any destinations on winedering.com, you will always find through the affiliate registration that you will be able to do the wineries according to one parameter, which is the booking confirmation ratio, which represent a mix of the reviews of the customers, so how many reviews and how quality reviews have been made for that specific winery. The relationship that we have been building with the winery, so for example, how fast they are in replying to us, and of course, the commission included for each reservation. That's why I put a research before, just to give you as an example of Chianti Classico. And if I search for Chianti Classico wine experiences, the first three ones that you will find are the ones that I talked to you about a few minutes ago: Savignola Paolina, Selvole, and Pantanello, and so on. The ones that, of course, you will find more scrolling down the pages on the platform. For any kind of support that you may need from the distribution side, there is of course Lara that is available, but most important, there is the supporting page where we have all the information about how you can register, how the system works. We will be more than happy also to schedule demo in case you want them. So we are definitely here with the idea of helping you find and book for your customers the best and most authentic wine experiences. Um, you will not find the mass tourism destinations or the mass tourism wineries on our platform. Yes, there may be some of them, but most of them are, again, the ones that we have been meeting on over the last few years, and that are the guarantee of the authenticity of the experience for your customers. As I mentioned to you, and we are getting close to the end of the presentation, all the information that I gave to you are not only available into the deck that we will share with you at the end of the call, but also on our new blog page that is dedicated to you, to give you exactly this kind of information that are useful for your customers in terms of uh, how to best leave the Chianti Classico destination. And this will be done, of course, for all the wine destinations that we are going to cover. Well, I stayed within the 35 minutes, if I'm not wrong, into the presentation. I hope it was clear for everybody. Would be more than happy if there are any kind of questions. Feel free to either raise your hands or put some questions in the note. So I will just wait for you in case you have some questions. And let's see if there is one question here. Um, Susan, thank you for the message. Wandering is not available as an app. It's a web app, so it's very easy to find on Google, of course. And the idea of our platform was to make the job as easiest and fastest for you as possible, meaning that our main value is to make sure that you can make reservation within a couple of minutes on the website. But no, we don't have an app yet, and we'll think about that in future, probably, but not today. Thank you also, Anka. I'm looking forward to the next meeting too. Thank you, Susan. Appreciate that, and thank you for your time. I know it's Friday. Next presentation, as promised, will be on June the 13th, which is Thursday. Will always be at the same time. You will receive the information. You will receive the details via email in the next few days. And for any kind of information, don't be afraid to contact us. Don't hesitate to contact us. You have the email of help@winedering.com that is for you. We have our website, we have the affiliation program, and our blog links that you will receive. Thank you, Emmy, for the congrats for the format. Appreciate that, and thank you so much. Have a great day. Um, and thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Chessin. We are going to send you an email to set up a demo presentation with Lara to you. So we'll make sure that it's going to be available very soon to schedule a call with her in the next few days. Thank you again, everybody. Enjoy a great day. Enjoy a great evening and weekend. Hopefully with a good class of Chianti Classico together with you. Cheers.